Hi, and welcome back. I've just completed session 2, and as you can see, I was not alone. I'm joined today by my fellow soon to be practitioner,
Yes.
who also happens to be my sister, Julie. And actually, she's my favorite sister. Don't tell anybody I told you that. So, recounting what happened in my session today, I was guided, as I said, by the lovely Julie. Um, the theme that came up for yesterday was vulnerability, like I said, and it's already come into play in the last 24 hours. I did get a lot of clarity for some projects for my business during that session yesterday. And as what typically happens when I do get great ideas is as soon as the session's over, my ego slowly starts to kick back in and tells me all the reasons that all those ideas are terrible and I should never ever think about doing them again. And so, as has been my pattern, I typically do not follow through. Well, this started to happen again after yesterday's session, so I've decided to start to change this pattern because I think that spirit actually speaks better through me during my sessions when my ego is taking a backseat than not following through and allowing my ego to take control once the session is over. So, in an effort to change my pattern, that's why Julie is here today, because one of the things I thought of was to bring in some of my fellow practitioners and my fellow classmates to help me through this 7-day cleanse. So, we just finished with my session, and the theme of this one happened to be emotions, which was very exciting for me, as you can imagine. It began early in the session with some crying. I felt a lot of sadness, and tears were coming through. And rather than, I typically get annoyed with that because I have this idea in my head that I'm done with the tears, that I've been doing this long enough that the tears should be over now and I should be able to get more work done in these sessions. But as my helper here made me realize that it's okay to still be sad and that it doesn't mean I'm not doing a good job and not getting things done. The other kind of fun part that came up is during the middle of the session, it felt like someone was tickling the bottom of my feet. And usually I would kind of look at this and say, well, that's my ego distracting me. I'm going to forget about it. But what I realized is I was so intense on the breathing and so intense on focusing on the session and so intense on giving her notes that I realized this was just a hint to, like, hey, relax, dude, settle down. Don't take things so seriously. Enjoy the ride of the session. So I kind of let go a little bit and was able to breathe a little freer. And then at the end of the session, another emotion was anger that came up. And that is super, super rare for me. I don't allow myself to get angry ever. It's just not an okay emotion for me. We all have emotions that are okay and emotions that are not okay. And for some that's anger, it's an okay. For some it's sadness, whatever. But at the end of the session, it really came up, and it was so intense that I got scared that I could be capable of feeling such an intense emotion as that. But what came to me is she supported me and told me it was okay, and told me to go into it was okay to be afraid and that I was safe. And that's what I really enjoy about this process is the breath session, especially when you have somebody supporting you, provides you a safe space to experience these emotions that we don't necessarily want to have, we don't know how to have, we're afraid of, whatever. And so I was able to kind of let out some of that anger that I didn't actually even know was there. And I'd rather do it here with a good supporter than, someday at the grocery store when somebody bumps into my cart. So that's one great thing about doing sessions like this. So from your point of view, what would you like to add?
Yeah, from my perspective, really, as a practitioner who gets to support someone doing this work, the most important thing that I took away from today was watching Jess when she got into a good rhythm and wasn't really focused on what was happening physically. That's when her breakthroughs happened. That's when she allowed herself to feel some things like the sadness and cry, or that is the opportunity she had, that she allowed herself to have, to get to that point of feeling that anger, what she really later identified as animalistic rage, just being okay with that and allowing the safety for that to happen.
Yeah, I could kind of tell that once you kind of let go and stop taking it so seriously, that all you're doing is just breathing and allowing the process to do what it's meant to do.
Yeah.
So what would you like to share what Unlimited Breath has brought to you in your life briefly?
Absolutely. Gosh, I've been through a year and a half of transition in my life, empty nesting, going through a divorce, and I had been witnessing my sister and the things that were happening for her, and the things, just the changes she was making in her life. And for me, I get into these periods of what I'll call frenetic thinking, where it's just like, this isn't going right, and this isn't happening the way it needs to, and I'm not good enough, and I'm not right, and being able to kind of strip away those layers of, what's really conditional thinking, instead of just standing in the space of claiming who I am. And I don't have to be a certain way except my authentic self. Sometimes that authentic self is silly, and laughs out loud at things that some people don't laugh out loud at. Other times that person is really sensitive and feels like crying, so I do that. But it's really allowed me to kind of embrace my own uniqueness, which was and claim my own identity, which for the first time in my life I had the opportunity to do, because I always identified with a role that I'm playing. My brother's sister, my parents' daughter, my kid's mom, instead of just me, Julie, and who I am and what I want to do. So in that respect, the work that I've been doing is transformational, because I get to do me in only the way I know how.
That's pretty awesome.
Yep.
I love it. I'm so glad that you've been able to take this journey. I'm so glad I could get to watch it and be a part of it.
Yep.
So,
yeah.
All right, that's it for today. I will see you tomorrow for session 3. Should be exciting. We'll see if we have a new theme or if we're going to have a repeat. Thanks so much. Have a great rest of the day.